Hello, my dear students. Today we are going to explain the grammar of Unit 5, Lesson 4. Okay. In Lesson 3, we have studied transitive verbs, and we have said that the transitive verbs, who can remind me? Excellent. It has two characteristics. Number one, it should be an action verb, and it must have a direct object. So again, a transitive verb has two characteristics. It's an action verb and it must have a direct object. For example, Ed cancelled the reservation. So Ed here is the subject, cancelled here is the action verb, and reservation is the direct object. So cancelled here is a transitive verb. Why? Number one, it's an action and it has a direct object. The direct object which receives the action itself. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the intransitive verbs, and we should differentiate between the transitive verbs and the intransitive verbs. Okay, what are the intransitive verbs? An intransitive verb has two characteristics. Number one, it's an action verb, such as the transitive verb, and it will not have a direct object. So this is the difference between the transitive verb and the intransitive verb. The transitive verb has a direct object, but the intransitive, it doesn't have a direct object. It's only an action verb. For example, the museum opens at 10 p.m. So the subject here, the museum, opens here is the action, okay? And can you see a direct object here? No, the museum opens at 10 p.m. So there is no object that received the action, so no direct object. So this is an intransitive verb. Okay. Another example. I stopped the car. So I here is the subject. Stopped here is the action, right? It's the action verb. And the car. What did I stop? I stopped the car. So the car here is the direct object. So here I have an action verb and I have a direct object. So this is transitive or intransitive? Excellent. This is a transitive verb. Another example, the baby smiled. So the baby is the subject, smiled is the action verb. So can you see an object here? So no direct object. So this is transitive or intransitive? Excellent, intransitive verb. Okay, let's move to the exercise. Write in the blank if the verb is transitive and I if the verb is intransitive. Letter A. The British soldiers came from England. So we have the subject here, which is the British soldiers, and came is the action verb. Okay, can you see a direct object? The British soldiers came from England. So this is transitive or intransitive? Excellent, intransitive verb. Letter B. They arrived on huge ships. So they is the subject and arrived is the action verb. Can you see a direct object here? So this is intransitive verb. Letter C. The King of England sent them. So the subject that we have, the King of England, and sent here is the action verb, and them is the direct object that receives the action. So this is transitive. Excellent. Letter D. They brought guns and horses with them. So they is the subject and brought is the action verb, and guns and horses is the direct object. What did they bring? They brought guns and horses, so they receive the action. So this is a transitive verb. Letter E. A few soldiers organized the supplies. So a few soldiers, subject, organized the action verb, and what did they organize? The supplies. So the supplies here received the action, so it's a transitive verb. Letter F. One carried the country's flag into the battle. So one is the subject, carries is the action verb, What does it carry? The country's flag. So it received this action, so this is a transitive verb. Letter G. Most of the soldiers fight in the battle. So the subject, most of the soldiers fight, is the action. Can you see a direct object that received that action? No. So this is intransitive verb. Letter H. Their general leads the attack. So their general is the subject, leads is the action verb. What did he lead? The attack. So the attack here receives the action. So this is a transitive verb. Letter I. The armies meet on the battlefield. So the armies here is the subject and meet is the action verb. So can you see a direct object that receives that action? No. So this is intransitive. Letter J. Ordinary people move away from the fighting. So ordinary people is the subject and move is the action verb. So can you see a direct object that receives that action? No, so this is intransitive. Okay. Letter K. Many soldiers receive injuries. So many soldiers is the subject and receive is the action verb. And what did they receive? Injuries. So injuries here received the action. So this is a transitive verb. After that, doctors perform surgeries in the fields. So doctors here is the subject, and what did perform here is the action verb. What did they perform? Surgeries. So surgeries here receive the action, which is the performing. So this is a transitive verb. Letter M. After the war, everyone will return home. So everyone is the subject, and will return the verb, and they will return home. So this is a direct object, so this is a transitive verb. So again, the transitive verb and the intransitive verb. What is the difference between the transitive verb and the intransitive verb? Both of them are action verbs, but the only difference that the transitive verb has a direct object, but the intransitive verb doesn't have a direct object. Thank you for listening.